Monday Night Baseball from Fenway Park. The Boston Red Sox 7, the New York Yankees 2, as we move to the top of the 6th inning. Hideki Matsui leads off against Derek Lowe, and at least for 5 innings, his performance tonight has to bring some very hopeful signs for both Derek Lowe and the Red Sox. And that slider is a strike on the outside, although Lowe himself thinks that he could himself be traded here in the next few days. 0-2 the count to Hideki Matsui. Bernie Williams and Tony Clark to follow. And that's too high. First 5 batters of the ball game tonight, 4 of them reached. The only one that he retired was Derek Jeter, who made it out on a bunt on a sacrifice. But since then, he has been in command.
And I think that's the most impressive part. We talked about Kenny Lofton had a base hit that he turned into a double. The defense let Derek Lowe down, and then Sheffield hit a pop-up that should have been caught. It wasn't. But you know what? He continued to compete, and that's kind of been the knock on him this year. You know, he's made some excuses. He's had some problems with the blister. It's not the best infield defense in all of baseball, and he's a guy that relies on that defense. But you know what? They score a lot of runs. They will make up for the mistakes defensively that they make if you let them, and tonight he's done that.
2-2 the count to Matsui, but he, more than almost any other pitcher, really needs that defense, because he's not going to strike out many guys. The ball's going to be in play. Strike 3 on the outside to Matsui. He did not think so. Now, as we're talking Red Sox here, let's go to Sam Ryan with the general manager of the Sox, Theo Epstein. Sam?
And John, on the eve of what could be a very busy week for Theo Epstein, he's got the cell phone in his hand waiting for this phone to ring right now. But before we get to that, a little bit about this rivalry. Lower ERA than the Yankees, higher batting average, still 8.5 games back coming into this. What's been the problem?
Well, stats don't really matter except wins and losses, and we've had a little bit of a tough time. The last 3 months we've been about a 500 club. The talent's here, and yesterday could be a pretty big win for us if we're able to build on it and have a good week or 2 coming up, build some momentum.
You said after yesterday's game we've been waiting to get this feeling all season long. What did the players take out of that?
Well, from the 3rd inning on, that game had as much intensity as a postseason game. You could see the way we were grinding our at-bats and our focus. I think we just take out of it that now we know what we need to do to win and get on a winning streak. It's really, you know, the mental approach to a game and being able to grind out the win versus the other team. The Yankees is something they're great at doing. We saw it in New York. Maybe we outplayed them a couple games, but in the later innings, they did what they had to do to win. That's something we're capable of doing. We just have to go stop talking about it and go do it.
6 days until the trading deadline. We talked about this week coming up. Last month you told me pitching. That's what you were focusing in on. That's what you were narrowing in on. What's the focus now?
Well, still, we feel like you never have enough pitching, and we're pretty beat up. We had to put 2 more players on the DL today, Trot Nixon and Curtis Leskanic. And we have 9 players on the DL for, I think, the 3rd time this year. So we might make some moves for depth, more so than the big-name guy.
Big-name guy, Randy Johnson. That name is out there. Where do you guys stand in the Randy Johnson sweepstakes?
Well, you know, Randy's under contract with the Diamondbacks, so that's really Joe Garagola's business and Randy Johnson's business. I wouldn't want to intrude in their matters at all.
Have there been any talks with the Diamondbacks?
Well, Joe and I talk, you know, every so often. We've made a couple trades together over the years, but we talk about a lot of different things.
Derek Lowe settling down nicely tonight. Is he untouchable?
Yeah, Derek's a huge part of our club. We need him to pitch the way he's pitching tonight if we're going to get anywhere.
Now, Derek Lowe, free agent. Nomar, Pedro, Veritek, all free agents. If you don't trade any of those guys and lose them to free agency, are you comfortable with that?
Well, you know, I think there's a lot of value in competing for a World Series and winning a World Series. So that's our primary goal. They're all guys we'd like to bring back and that we'll have dialogue with after the season.
Okay, Theo Epstein, Red Sox fans will be waiting and listening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, Sam, thank you. And thanks to Theo, the general manager of the Red Sox. Tony Clark. I mean, and there is a very real issue about talking about players who are under contract to other ball clubs. I mean, it's called tampering. And if you were judged to be guilty of tampering, that can bring along you know, big fines and other punishments. meted out by the commissioner's office. So you've got to be awfully careful when you're talking about any other player in any kind of a trade discussion, even if it might be going on.
You have to be real careful with a lot of things you do in this town when you're the general manager, and I really think that Theo has done a remarkable job. 28 years of age last year, the youngest general manager ever, a senior vice president, along with that general manager's title. And injuries a lot of times are perceived as an excuse, but you have to be realistic with Boston. They've had Bill Miller out, they've had Nomar out, and they've had Trot Nixon out for a lot of this year, and defense has been a problem for them, and those are three of their best defensive players. The concern now, Trot Nixon back on the DL, you finally get Nomar and Bill Miller out, and then now I think the #1 guy they can least afford to lose, Jason Varitek, has an injury to his right wrist. How bad it is, none of us right now really know. X-rays were taken today, but if they lose him, that would be a huge blow for the Red Sox nation.
One of the top catchers in the American League. That slider up and away. 2-2 the count now to Tony Clark, who has struck out twice in this game. Here's Jason Varitek. He had, what, 25 home runs last year? Handles the staff well.
Yeah, I think it's his club. It really is. He's the man that they all look to. He's the glue to that lineup. He's been hitting second the last couple of days. So many things that he does for that team.
3-2 to Tony Clark. And there's the owner of the Red Sox right behind Kevin Millar there in the stands on the phone. John Henry, who is hosting Tom Brokaw and Senator John Kerry, Senator John Glenn. That's the place to be tonight, that box.
We were told there were maybe in excess of 30 senators down there in that Budweiser pavilion tonight, so they getting ready for a big week.
And Tony Clark strikes out for the 3rd consecutive time. 2 down.
They'd like to have Jason Giambi in their lineup, but he is not healthy. Tony Clark has had some big home runs for the Yankees this year, but none yet tonight. Here's the K-zone once again. Look at how long that slider from Derek Lowe looked to be in the strike zone. And then right at the end, the late movement, taking it down below the swing and picking up the second out. That's pitching, and he's been doing that all night.
Now Enrique Wilson, fastball a strike. Wilson is grounded to first and grounded into a double play. 7-2, the Red Sox leading the Yankees. Yankees keep waiting for the offense to get it going, but Derek Lowe has prevented that from happening. And a foul ball.
I think that's, one of the biggest difference between Jason Giambi and Tony Clark is that patience. And the key to the New York Yankees offensively since Joe Torre took over has not been solo home runs. They get 2 or 3 people on, and then they hit the 3-run homer, the grand slam homer. That's how you win ball games. And that was clearly ball 4 there had the swing from Tony Clark not happened.
Jason Giambi, he's got one of the keenest eyes of any hitter in the big leagues, this side of Barry Bonds anyway. He's got extraordinary eyesight and the ability to recognize pitches. But they're having to play without Giambi right now. The mysterious illness that has sapped his strength. He was getting better for a while. They diagnosed him initially as a parasite in his intestines. He took antibiotics and whatnot. He started getting better, but Joe Torre says that has plateaued now. And for the last few days, he stopped getting better. Not getting worse, but not continuing to get better.
Remarkable the numbers that Giambi was able to put up last year with the eye infection that he had. There was a knee injury that eventually he had to have surgery on.
So that Giambi, one of the great sluggers in the game, the Yankees only have like 5 or 6 great sluggers in the lineup. There's a roller to first. Millar's got it. And that is the inning. 6 strong innings from Derek Lowe. 7-2 Red Sox. The top of the order. Johnny Damon coming up. In Boston's Back Bay, there's Fenway Park. The Red Sox lead the Yankees 7-2 as we go to the last of the 6th inning now. The Red Sox in the 2nd inning got a 3-run homer by Johnny Damon to go ahead 5-2. The next hitter, Bellhorn, also took one out of the yard. Kevin Millar in the 5th inning hit his 4th home run of this series against the Yankees. And Derek Lowe, he's got a 3-hit shutout going since the Yankees got those 2 runs in the very 1st inning against him. Now Johnny Damon, he's got a 3-hit game going here, facing Jose Contreres. Damon now with 7 hits and 13 at-bats for this weekend series. Red Sox got 7 runs here Friday and lost. They got 11 runs and just barely won yesterday. And now they put 7 more on the board so far tonight as we start the 6th inning. So the Yankees have come in here and have allowed 25 runs to the Boston Red Sox in these 3 games. Ooh. 1 ball, 2 strikes now.
Maybe change that pitch selection a little bit to Johnny Damon. All right, I can't get a fastball by you. You have proven that to me. So Contreres has really done a nice job settling down since that difficult 2nd inning.
Damon chased a bad one right there. Tonight, Kevin Youkilis, the 25-year-old rookie infielder of the Red Sox, is wearing a microphone for us. And when Johnny Damon was up there in the 2nd inning, Youkilis predicted the home run.
3-1. Pesky pole right here. Pesky pole. 3-run yakka. I got it! Yeah! Oh, I got it!
You got to love that energy. And that is so important for the role players, the utility guys, the starting pitchers on the day they're not pitching, to have that energy to keep guys motivated. You know, Joe Torre likes to have a couple of those guys on his bench, particularly for games like this. You know, Derek Jeter, A-Rod come in. They're going to most of the time play every day. Have somebody in there that says something to them that kind of lights that fire.
Ball 1 to Bellhorn. And that's a strike. Youkilis, by the way, is not in the dugout at the moment, but as you see Heredia, the left-hander, up again in the Yankees bullpen. David Ortiz, the left-handed slugger, is on deck. The switch-hitting Bellhorn at the plate right now. The lefty Heredia getting ready. There's Ortiz up next. Youkilis from Cincinnati originally. He sounded like a New Englander, though. And 3-1. He didn't just predict a home run, though. He said it was going to hit off Pesky's pole out there. That was pretty good.
We need to go back and check his whole conversation tonight, though. I bet he's made some other predictions over. Yeah.
So you think, okay, well, he got the one right. We're going with that one. Into right center field. Way back there. And off the wall. Lofton could not handle it. Sheffield chasing the carom, and stopping is Bellhorn. He knows the 2 biggest sluggers in the lineup are coming up next. And I think the crowd was disappointed. They thought he was going for 3. But he thought, nah, not with Ortiz and Manny coming up.
That's a real good point, John. And we talked earlier about Johnny Damon playing defense here and how difficult that center field can be. There's the K zone there. All right, I'll take a look at this. Now look at Lofton closing in on it. All right, he had a shot at getting to that baseball, but he did not know for sure where that wall was. And because of it, he pulled up a little bit. He checked the wall to protect himself, and another extra base hit for Boston.
And that's going to do it for Contreres. With Ortiz coming up, Heredia is coming in. 7-2 Red Sox. We'll be back. Here's Heredia to face David Ortiz with a runner at second. And 1 out here in the 6th inning. The Red Sox are leading 7-2. Felix Heredia, the only left-hander in the Yankees bullpen right now. And his numbers are not very appetizing if you're a Yankees fan. Facing Ortiz, the big slugger, who Blew that one right by him.
He has had good numbers, though, against the left-handed swinging David Ortiz. 0 for 5 versus Heredia. And, you know, that's a pretty nice job to have here. If he can come in here and get this one guy out, his night's probably over with, and he's probably part of a postseason team.
And left-handed hitters are hitting only .216 against Heredia. There's Brett Prinz, the right-hander, with the right-handed hitting Manny Ramirez on deck. Toward the wall. But not, well, no, that's off the wall. Matsui elected to play the carom, and coming around to score is Bellhorn. An easy out at Yankee Stadium, but Matsui, you've got to make a judgment here whether you're going to play the carom or go for the catch. He could have perhaps gotten the catch. The ball did not hit very high up off the wall.
I think you got to give David Ortiz some credit here, though, because he made an adjustment. Take a look at the pitch here from Heredia. I mean, that's a pretty good pitch for a left-handed hitter to go down and get. On the previous pitch in the same location, he couldn't put it in play. And there, like you said, Matsui had a decision to make. Could he have gone to the wall, climbed it, and made that play? He didn't think so.
So now Joe Torre, with the right-handed hitting Manny Ramirez coming up, is going to bring in Brett Prinz. 8-2 Boston. Will be back. '27-year-old right-hander Brett Prinz just brought back from the minor leagues today to help bolster this Yankees bullpen. I mean, they've been worked so hard here lately. He added an extra arm today. And he comes on to face the right-handed batting Manny Ramirez, who is 0 for 3 in the game. Prinz has been up before this year in the big leagues. You see his earlier numbers. And he's tough to hit.
He was even tougher to hit a couple of years ago when he was with the Arizona Diamondbacks. A power-type arm, a deceptive three-quarters delivery.
He's had some arm troubles since then. He came up in 2001, the year that Arizona won the World Series, beating the Yankees in Game 7 of that great World Series. And he was an important man in that bullpen. 2.63 ERA, 41 innings pitched, only 33 hits allowed. And he fouls one back onto the rooftop. But Prinz has really hardly had a healthy year since that time.
Looks like that velocity might be back. A 2-0 count to Manny Ramirez. Looking fastball. Got a fastball, but not able to do anything with it.
He was traded to the Yankees about this time last year. Fastball at the knees. Strike 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes now. It was here on a Sunday night baseball game, Yankees-Red Sox, Raul Mondesi got taken out of a game and then just left Fenway Park and did not fly with the Yankees to the West Coast. And the Yankees decided, well, we better get him out of here. That's not the way we do it here. And he was traded a few days later to Arizona. They needed a hitter. And Brett Prinz was part of that deal as Manny fouls one straight back to the screen. They got David DeLucci in that deal as well. There's Brian Cashman down by the Yankees dugout. I like when Sam Ryan was interviewing Theo Epstein, the Red Sox GM. We could hear Epstein's phone ringing.
I like the fact that he's out there with the fans. You know, GMs that can take some heat from time to time. Doesn't care.
You think the Red Sox fans would give him some heat?
No, you're right. My bad.
I saw when Arte Moreno, the owner of the Anaheim Angels, you know, he'd come out originally. There's Theo Epstein in the stands. He'd come out originally when the whole Randy Johnson thing first came out that they might trade him. And he said, hey, we're not really going to be going after him. We're not going to get involved in that. And then Arte Moreno always goes around the ballpark in Anaheim when the Angels are home and talks with the fans. He wants to hear what they like about the experience, what they don't like. All he kept hearing, he said they kept blistering him about getting Randy Johnson after that. So then Moreno finally said, well, I told the general manager, Bill Stoneman, that go ahead and get him if you can get him, but we're not going to bankrupt our future. They've got a lot of plans for these young players in their system. Manny into right field. Sheffield on the run. Great effort by Sheffield. And stopping at third is Ortiz. That's a huge outfield, the biggest right field area in the American League to play.
What an at-bat by Manny Ramirez. After swinging and fouling off the 2-0 fastball, he took the next pitch just to get a better look at it. He fouled off a couple of more. Then he finally had his sights set on that fastball, able to put it in play. You mentioned earlier David DeLucci. Well, he was one of the mix of right fielders that the Yankees used last year. A terrific effort on the part of Sheffield there. He did not come up with the ball, but he did keep Ortiz from scoring.
Looked like he actually ended up kicking that one with his knee. Here's Nomar. That one fouled right off the mask of the plate umpire Wendelstedt, and it knocked the mask right off his head. And that'll shake you up.
You know, there's some friendly competition between Ortiz and Manny Ramirez on RBIs this year. Ortiz picking up one earlier tonight, now has 88. Manny's still stuck on 80. A lot of people might have scored on that ball. These two guys are as good of friends as there could be.
It looks like they're kidding each other about it right now.
Ortiz is apologizing. Manny kind of looked at him and shook his head, but I love what Manny did in the All-Star game. He had his 2 at-bats. He hit his homer, and then before his 3rd at-bat, Manny said, no. Let my buddy go up there. Ortiz walked in his 1st at-bat, and then he too homered in the All-Star game.
Nomar hits a high foul. Out of play off to the right. Clark starts back, but you run out of room to chase a pop foul in this ballpark in a hurry. There's not much room in foul ground. 0-2 the count to Nomar Garciaparra.
Don't you figure at some point in the not too distant future they're just going to take the seats right to the foul line everywhere?
Well, every new ballpark now uses Fenway as a model. We want the seats right on top of home plate.
Right behind the umpire.
And Nomar strikes out on the high fastball. He is now 1 for 4 tonight. 2 down and 2 on. Fans, be sure and log on to MLB.com to follow baseball live on the web with MLB.com's real-time stats, game day audio, and MLB.tv.MLB.com, where baseball is always on. I go in there and log on my laptop in a hotel room and then get the complete telecast of a game, or a condensed version of the game, or all the big plays of a game. Kevin Millar, he has found his swing this weekend against the Yankees, and he had found it a little bit before the Yankees got to town. 6 homers overall in his last 5 games. 4 of them, though, have come this weekend against the Yankees, and he has had, what, 9 hits and 11 at-bats for the weekend. Tonight, a 2-run single and a long home run. David Ortiz at 3rd. Manny Ramirez at 1st. 2 down. And it's away. 2-1 the count to Kevin Millar. He has lifted his overall average up to 295. Millar had a pretty big year last year, and actually last year, after a big first half, he kind of faded a little bit in the last several weeks of the season. So he seems intent on doing it just the opposite this year. Broken back move. That's going to fall. Ortiz is picked up. It's Millar who gets the RBI. Even when he breaks his back, it works out well for him. 9-2 Boston.
You talked about that big year he had last year, John. He played in 148 games with 25 homers and just under 100 RBIs. I think this year's version of Kevin Millar, take a look at it. That's a pretty good pitch right there. You see the result. The bat is broke. Ideally, that's what you like to happen if you're a pitcher, but they're just so big and so strong now. He's easily able to get it over the infield. Another run. They continue to add to their lead, which, the way this series has gone, John, that's very important.
Bill Miller, 0 for 3. Grounded out twice and struck out. Manny Ramirez at 2nd. Kevin Millar at 1st. 9-2 Boston leading the Yankees. One of the runs in this inning charged to the record of Jose Contreres, who gave up 8 runs and 9 hits in 5 1/3 innings. 1 run charged to Felix Heredia, There's Heredia in the foreground, and that's Contreres right behind him. These two base runners belong to Brett Prinz. And fastball is up and away. 3-0. In this weekend series, the Yankee staff has allowed 27 runs and 38 hits. In what? Less than 24 innings pitched.
People talked in the winter about what was going to happen with the, in particular, starting rotation of the Yankees. Andy Pettitte left. Roger Clemens retired and then unretired. And you forget sometimes about David Wells and how important he has been to the success of the Yankees. David Wells has not played on a losing team since 1995. He joins the Padres this year, and what a story that has been. That club is right in contention. They beat the Los Angeles Dodgers today after a big road trip after the All-Star break. They head back home where they've been real good.
Well, that's 3/5 of your starting rotation, and all three big winners. And the Yankees had to replace them. They got Javier Vasquez. They picked up Kevin Brown, and they had John Lieber sort of in their back pocket ready for this, and he's pitched a lot of innings for them.
He's been a big pitcher in the past. We know a couple years ago he won 20 games with the Chicago Cubs. I talked to John before the game tonight, and that arm strength, as you would expect, is just a little bit inconsistent right now, and that's the reason his results have been inconsistent. He's going to be a good pitcher, though, because he is healthy again.
But, I mean, his numbers are nowhere near what they were before he got hurt. He won 20 games, what, 3-4 years ago.
But don't you think to begin with, they're just trying to figure out what they're going to do with their roster in October?
Yeah. That's what I think. And just about everybody else the same. The Red Sox are the closest to them in their division, and they are 8.5 out coming into play tonight. Mirabelli with the bases loaded. And Prince is a little too quick for him on that one. 0-2 the count. Kevin Brown could be back as early as Friday. He had the rehab start tonight, and by all appearances, it went well. Barring a setback, he could pitch for them Friday and rejoin the rotation. Mike Messina, though, they were hoping that, and there's Messina, right back to Prinz. We'll tell you about Messina when we come back. But right now, the Red Sox add 2 more to their total. We're heading to the 7th inning. Lofton, Jeter, and Sheffield coming up. 9-2, Boston.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by McDonald's. Brought to you by McDonald's.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. We're at Fenway Park in Boston, the site of the 2004 Democratic National Nominating Convention. The Red Sox leading the Yankees 9-2. The convention starts tomorrow, but right now they're very excited about what's going on right here at Fenway. As Derek Lowe pitched a strong one, and the Sox have a very big lead. I'm John Miller with Rick Sutcliffe, Joe Morgan up in Cooperstown for the Hall of Fame festivities, and we're joined now by George Stephanopoulos, the anchor of ABC Television's Sunday morning program This Week, and I know co-starring George Will.
Co-starring George Will. I get all my baseball tips from George Will.
There's a called strike from Lowe to the leadoff man, Kenny Lofton. Now, George, welcome. And you're here, obviously, for the convention.
Starting tomorrow.
I thought, or maybe just a chance to get to Fenway Park.
First time ever. First, it's a big night for me.
Off the glove, a bell horn at second, and safe at first is Kenny Lofton on the error. Now you grew up in Cleveland.
I grew up in Cleveland and actually New York. When I was a kid, I grew up in New York, so I was a big Mets fan growing up.
Not a Yankee fan.
Not a Yankee fan, Mets fan. Shea Stadium, first place I ever saw a baseball game.
All right, so
I'm rooting for the Red Sox tonight.
So you just didn't like the Yankees then?
No, I was a big Mets fan, and if you liked the Mets in '69, you did not like the Yankees.
All right, now by the way, the show Sunday morning, ABC.
That's right.
Now it's George Will, Cokie Roberts.
That's right. Sam Donaldson. They were all on this morning previewing the convention. But you had better luck getting Senator Kerry on than I did today.
You couldn't. You tried to get him and you couldn't.
Of course I did. You guys beat me to it.
Nobody turns John Miller down. We've known that for a long time now. And then when he does get you on, I mean, did you hear how hard he was on?
I was tough. I read the interview. You guys are murder board out there.
Yeah, I grilled him.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
I wanted his sense of the issues. I asked him point blank, DH, good or bad?
Said he hated it from the start.
Yeah. And I didn't just let it rest there. I had a follow-up question on that one.
I saw he kind of dodged on Pete Rose.
He did. In the right field, there is Kapler. It's a running start on that one, but Lofton was not tagging up anyway. Now, you've been in politics, obviously. I mean, you managed Bill Clinton's.
Except back in 1992.
His first campaign. But you were a sportscaster at one time? Is this
back in college? That's right, Columbia College. I did soccer play-by-play and a little bit of baseball, but not too much.
You did soccer play-by-play?
I did. It's tough. You got to talk a lot during a soccer game.
You have to talk a lot in games like this
one too. Exactly.
Yeah.
Joe always does this to me too. When Joe Morgan goes to the Hall of Fame, it's always at least a 3.5, 4-hour game.
Now, you guys are earning your money tonight, man. I'll say.
Well, although Rick, 2 of the years that he filled in for Joe Morgan, one year Cleveland had a 14-2 deficit against Seattle, and Seattle came back and won.
How many innings did that take?
It took what? It felt like about 27 innings, but I think it was 10 innings or so, 10 or 11 innings. It was the greatest comeback in about 80 years. And then a couple of years ago, we had a Cubs-Cardinal game. Cardinals were down 9-4 in the 9th inning, and the Cardinals got 6 in the 9th to win the ball game.
Boy, I'm going to hang out here tonight.
So no telling what my hand. And if anybody can come back in the game, it's the Yankees with all that offense. Mirabelli comes back, and he makes the catch. Again, holding the mask in one hand and making the one-handed catch.
You got to love the passion that these Red Sox fans have for their team. I mean, they're up 9-2, and they're cheering a pop-up to the catcher.
But John Kerry showed some courage coming out there on the mound today.
You know, I think he kind of set the tone, too, for Derek Lowe. Did you see the nice sinker that he threw out for that first pitch?
Short,
he kind of looked at Derek and said, hey, kid, this is where you can succeed, and he's done a good job of it tonight.
Now, Alex Rodriguez. He's had 2 base hits, although he has not hit a ball out of the infield. Both of his base hits did not even reach third base. And that's a called strike. It's 0-1. But, George, what about this convention? I mean, I went out on a limb earlier and predicted that Senator Kerry would win the nomination.
Hey, that's a big, brave move there.
I mean, are there any surprises that...
Well, tonight was a surprise to begin with. I mean, as far as I know, you see Senator Kerry there. He was on a plane with John Glenn, and Senator Glenn didn't even know they were coming here tonight. He thought they were going on to Cape Canaveral. Halfway through the flight, Kerry says, we're diverting the flight. We're going to Fenway. And Glenn's still smiling.
0-2 the count. And the Senator, as well as all the Red Sox faithful, rise to their feet here. 2 down, 2 strikes to A-Rod. Lofton, the runner at first. Derek Lowe. And with Lofton running, the ball ends up bouncing away from Mirabelli. The runner advances. So when you were in college, you wanted to be a sportscaster?
I was having fun with it. Yeah, I never thought I was going to. That wasn't good.
Or did you always want to be in politics?
Back in college, I knew I was going to be in politics for a while.
All right. Now, when you ran Clinton's campaign in '92, when he won for the presidency, I mean, would you have advised him to not go to Cape Canaveral, but to come to Fenway Park on a night like this with Sunday night baseball in town?
I might have come to Fenway, but I would have been surrounded by policemen firing, make sure there's no way they could boo you coming out onto the field.
My question for you is, I got a feeling you're coming back to Fenway, aren't you?
I'm definitely coming back to Fenway, no question about it.
But it's true, though. I mean, politicians always get booed in ballparks.
They know it's the first rule of politics. You know it if you're going to a ballpark, you can get booed. You just got to decide if you're going to take the penalty.
I mean, one notable exception was after September 11th, 2001, when President Bush went out to the mound at Yankee Stadium in the World Series, and that was quite an emotional and memorable moment.
That really was. I mean, one of his best moments. His father once had a great moment down in Houston as well. He made it out on the mound without getting booed.
2-2 the count to Alex Rodriguez. So you're going to be involved in the coverage this week with Peter Jennings.
With ABC. We got our new 24/7 coverage.
Now, I read about that. That's on with the secondary bands.
Secondary bands, you can get a digital channels on your affiliates. You can get it through your cell phone if you want, your BlackBerry. It's something brand new. We're looking forward to it.
So if you want that gavel-to-gavel coverage,
you're going to get it. Pick up your phone, listen to the whole thing.
All right.
Go on your computer.
And you can get it online, I guess?
Absolutely.
Okay. But for ABC, if you just go on regular television,
regular
a couple hours a night, or
10 o'clock Monday night, 10 o'clock Wednesday night, 10 o'clock Thursday night.
Alex Rodriguez draws a walk. 2 men on, 2 men out, and here is Jorge Posada. Derek Lowe working here in the 7th inning, and Sox fans have to be just ecstatic about what Lowe's given them tonight.
They do. Once again, the reason that this inning is not over, though, is the Red Sox defense, and I like what Terry Francona is doing here. You know, sure, he's not allowed to run yet this inning, but you know what? He can see it coming. This has been the key to the Yankees' success. He's trying to stop it.
So that's it for Lowe. 119 pitches thrown, a season's high. There is Timlin, the right-hander, coming in with the bullpen. George Stephanopoulos will look for in the convention coverage.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for stopping by.
Bye-bye.
You've been waiting all year for this moment to arrive. The one and only clearance at your Lincoln Mercury dealer. Get model year-end savings on every Lincoln and Mercury. From our
Red Sox 9, Yankees 2, top of the 7th inning, 2 on, 2 out for the Yankees. And there is Mike Timlin. In October last year, he was as good as there was. I mean, almost untouchable. And really, I think his performance throughout the postseason was part of the reason why Red Sox fans were so upset that Pedro Martinez was not taken out of that Game 7 earlier against the Yankees.
Well, it's not the first time that Mike Timlin has put up numbers like that. He's been quality for a long time.
Jorge Posada, and that's ball 1. Timlin is in his 47th game of the year. But I like George Stephanopoulos, the assessment. He was a little down on the campaign manager for Senator Kerry for letting him go out on the field to throw out the ceremonial first pitch, because as we heard here, and as we know well, having seen it so many times at ballparks, politicians almost always get booed. And how did he put it? He said he wouldn't have allowed, he would have had all the police and Secret Service and that surrounding him. Said, do not let him go out on that field.
I remember a great moment at Wrigley back in 1988 when President Reagan at that time came out and threw out the first pitch, and then he went on the air with Harry Carey and broadcast several games, as he had done earlier in his career.
Before he was even in the movies. Sports broadcaster. There's a pop-up foul off to the left. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Earlier tonight, we were talking about Senator Kerry being introduced. He and his wife, Teresa Hines Kerry.
Sinker, look at that. I mean, that was a difficult pitch to handle there.
Now is down with John Henry, who's on the right-hand side there in John Henry's box near the Red Sox dugout, enjoying the ball game along with Senator John Glenn. And it's a foul back out of play. It was great hearing from George Stephanopoulos on his first time ever in Fenway. And as he said, it won't be the last time he's going to be here. Yeah, I mean, Fenway there are a lot of great ballparks that have been built, starting with Camden Yards. And Wrigley Field is certainly a classic. But there's an atmosphere at Fenway that doesn't exist anywhere else. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Timlin tries it again. And the slider low and inside to Posada.
I think it's amazing, too. And I'm sure, John, that you and Joe have talked about it, that the changes that they have made here and what they've been able to do with the green monster seats out there. That's got to be the best seat in Boston. And the pavilion they added down the right field line. And, I mean, they've just enhanced the viewing experience here.
They expanded the scoreboard and the out-of-town scoreboard to include the National League scores, which had been excluded from the wall after it had been rebuilt following the '75 World Series. changeup up and away. Now it's a full count, 3-2. Matsui on deck. Sports Center will follow the ball game. There's the pavilion out on the right field rooftop behind the right field foul pole that Rick Sutcliffe was talking about. An area added this year to Fenway Park. I'm John Miller with Rick Sutcliffe and Sam Ryan. Sunday Night Baseball. The Red Sox trying to get their season going. The runners go. And that is ball 4. So quite a battle given Timlin there by Posada. He coaxes the walk. And here comes Matsui with a chance to do some serious damage here. Here at Fenway tonight is the 115th consecutive sellout. Coors Field and Jacobs Field. Jacobs Field was sold out for what, nearly 7 consecutive seasons.
You know, when I look at that, what I think of, Manny Ramirez was a part of those sellouts at Jacobs Field. Also a part of them here at Fenway. What kind of offensive player would he have been at Coors Field, the other one up there?
I think they'd still be selling out of Coors if he was there. 3 men on. Matsui chases the high fastball. Matsui tonight has a sacrifice fly. The game really kind of turned around on his sacrifice fly, though. It knocked in the first run of the game, but it was a great catch by Johnny Damon in center on what otherwise might have been a 2 or 3 run double.
Followed by a great catch by Manny Ramirez down in that corner to get out of the inning.
And it was the second run of the game. That ball into center. Damon back again. Still going back. Looks up. It's a grand slam. And look out. The Yankees are coming. 6 on the board for the Yankees. And suddenly from 9-2 to 9-6. And that is the only hit of this inning. The Red Sox gave 3 base runners with a big lead, and that's why you don't give away base runners when you've got the big lead.
Godzilla just attacked the Red Sox nation. You're going to see a fastball. You're going to see a good swing. Look at that, right down the middle of the plate. Even though it was down, look at Matsui go down and get it. Look at the extension. Look at the contact. Johnny Damon going back to the wall, but absolutely nothing he could do but look up.
Here's Bernie Williams. And the fans here at Fenway, suddenly there's an almost deathly still that has descended upon this old ballpark.
Well, I'm sure a lot of these people have been out here for the 2 previous games, and there's a lot of things that have happened then that very well could happen again tonight.
Bernie Williams is flied out, singled, and walked. Did he swing at that one? No, says Bruce Frum. Yesterday, the 6th inning here at Fenway lasted 1 hour and 7 minutes, and you see the Yankees, they've come back from many deficits this year, more than any other team. Well, tonight they were down by 7 at one point. Even for the Yankees, that's not easily done. But yesterday, in the 6th inning, the Yankees were down 4-3, and they scored 6 runs to go ahead 9-4. But in the last half of the 6th inning, Boston scored 4 runs, 10 runs total in the 1 inning, which took 1 hour and 7 minutes to play. One and 2 to Bernie Williams. 2 down, nobody on, and he stays alive. So all of the runs in this inning are unearned. 2 of them charged to the record of Derek Lowe, so he gave up 4 runs, 2 earned. And of course, the worst thing from Timlin's standpoint, really, besides the grand slam, is the fact that he walked the first man that he faced.
It's been a big key to the Yankees' success for a long time. They're being patient. And patient doesn't mean taking good pitches to hit. It means simply waiting on a good pitch to hit, which the Yankees have done again this inning.
The inning began on the error by Bellhorn. That fastball misses inside. Boston led off the inning with a ground ball right to Bellhorn, and it went right through him for an error. Then with 2 down, Rodriguez drew a walk. Then Timlin came into the game. He walked Posada after an extended battle. And then Matsui over the 17-foot high wall in center field, a grand slam. 9-6 Boston. And suddenly seems that there's all kinds of time left in this game. And a foul foul back out of play by Bernie. He's the 7th hitter of the inning. Here's Derek Lowe. 119 pitches tonight. It started badly for him, but then he settled in. But he walked the last man he faced, A-Rod, with 2 down in this inning. And Timlin has not been able to get the 3rd out either. Until now, strike 3. 4 runs for the Yankees, and now the Yankees are thinking about a comeback. 9-6 Boston. Hideki Matsui. Godzilla into the center field bleachers. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by McDonald's. We're at Fenway Park. And Sunday, the Red Sox with a 9-2 lead, now leading 9-6. Now there's a whole new way to watch ESPN HD. The pictures you are seeing are from our latest HD programming edition, ESPN Sports Century. Our premiere episode on Pedro Martinez kicked off this month. And we're showing them on the first flat TV to produce background lighting that matches the pictures on the screen. Now, this is not a trick. It actually illuminates the wall behind the television. It's the new Philips flat TV with Ambilight from our friends at Philips, the sponsor of ESPN HD. Now, you can experience TV in a whole new light with ESPN HD and Philips flat TVs with Ambilight. I have a high-definition set at home, and the HD pictures are so incredible that now when I turn on the set, I check out all the HD channels. Yeah. And if there's nothing that I want to watch on, I turn it off and go to bed. I mean, the pictures are mesmerizing. I saw some of that Cubs game earlier this week. Sammy Sosa ended up winning the ball game with a home run. And it's the first time I'd actually seen the HD at home on a Major League Baseball telecast. It was like being at the ballpark. Gabe Kapler pops up to Tony Clark, and there is 1 away in the Boston 7th. Now let's go to our colleague Sam Ryan.
Joined here by Ben Affleck, John, and huge Red Sox fan. You usually sit next to the Red Sox dugout. What happened? You're on the Yankees side tonight.
Well, I do charity work for the Red Sox, not because I'm a particularly good guy, but just so I can get these really great seats here. But turned out that Senator Kerry was coming tonight, so I have the displeasure of sitting next to the Yankee dugout tonight, unfortunately. But at least I can heckle them more off cliff.
Heckling them you are. After Matsui hit that grand slam, A-Rod came over here, had some words with you. What did he say?
I wouldn't call it repeatable, but it was, yeah, he came over to, oh, get out. Yeah, he had something to say, and along the lines of how pleased with himself he was. I mean, I thought his 2 hits were pretty cheap, frankly, but, you know, that's what he gets the big money for.
So how's your love for the Yankees now?
You know, just love them to death. I mean, last night I thought was one of the great games ever, and it shows you what kind of heart and spirit this team has. And you know, they fought back and they played great, no pun intended. And it's exciting. I mean, I don't think there's any other team in Major League Baseball where it feels like playoff atmosphere in July, you know, and it does here tonight. It's exciting, and the Democratic Convention is here. I think people are going to get a chance to see what a great city this is, and so I'm really excited, and it's an exciting night.
So you're sitting next to the Yankee dugout. You have their general manager, Brian Cashman, 2 seats behind you. You're sitting in the seat that George Steinbrenner usually sits in when he comes here to Fenway.
Stink to it. I can't tell what it was. Something didn't feel right about it. Yeah, and I know the evil empire's here. It's quite an interesting place to be, but it'll be nothing to give me more satisfaction than just. We've been getting a real tough time from the refs, the umpires tonight. It's unfortunate. Anyway, thank you very much, and hopefully, knock wood, things will come together for us. And thanks for talking to me.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, Ben Affleck. I have the feeling he's a Sox fan. 9-6 Red Sox, top of the 8th coming up. Fenway Park, Sunday Night Baseball, and we move on to the 8th inning now. The Red Sox made a trade yesterday with the Toronto Blue Jays. They acquired veteran right-handed reliever Terry Adams, Adams is right here and being thrown right into the Yankees Red Sox fray. And Adams delivers ball 1 to Tony Clark, who has struck out 3 times. Adams, 43 innings pitched with the Blue Jays this year, 3.98 ERA. And Rick, I mean, he's been around a while. He's always had pretty good stuff.
Yeah, he's not going to be intimidated by this atmosphere or seeing the Yankees over there. I think the reason that it's gotten so quiet here at Fenway, though, is the fact that even Fenway and Red Sox fans like Ben Affleck trying to figure out, you know, who's number 53 out there? Who is this guy? Or 58, whatever that is. Yeah, it's 53.
Okay, we have a new pitcher. It's
who is this guy? Is he good?
Now pitching for Boston, number 53, Terry Adams. Yeah. What? Who? that's a good point. And I mean, the fact that he was acquired the same day they had the brawl yesterday and all the stuff going on yesterday and the great comeback, I think a lot of people might have missed that little news item. Terry Adams, and he's a guy who could really help them. He's been with the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Phillies for a while, the Blue Jays.
You know, and Affleck was talking about the fight and all that. I like what A-Rod said about it. You know, it's been part of baseball for a long time.
Strike 3, the high fastball blows away Tony Clark, who has struck out 4 times in a row.
I don't know that all these fans know that. They know that this new guy, we kind of like him.
Yeah,
works pretty hard, doesn't he?
Won't get anybody in the bullpen. But that's a way to endear yourself to the fans here at Fenway. In your debut, strike out the first Yankee you've ever faced as a member of the Red Sox. Enrique Wilson now. That's up and away. Ball 1. Wilson is 0 for 3. Kenny Lofton on deck. Yanks scored first, 2 in the first inning. The Red Sox got 2 in their half of the first to tie it, and then 4 in the second. And they have been ahead ever since. At one point lengthening that lead to 9-2 at the end of 6 innings. But then Matsui hit the grand slam in the 7th inning to make it 9-6. And that's the score now as we play here in the 8th. And Adams' job, almost like an audition for the job of setup man in front of Folk, is to run right through them here in the 8th inning and set it up for Folk to get the so-called easy save in the 9th.
I'm not real sure that manager Terry Francona believes that his new reliever can do that. If he had total confidence in him, he definitely would not have Keith Folk up and throwing right now here in the top of the 8th.
That's a good point. 3-1 the count.
Francona's got a little Leo Mazzoni in him, doesn't he? You see the rocking there?
I think he just picked that up this weekend.
He's been doing that all year. And I really think the Red Sox made a terrific pickup when they hired this guy. He has been a manager in the big leagues before. We remember Francona back with the Phillies. That was a young club that wasn't expected to win a whole lot. He learned some things there.
He had a pitcher named Curt Schilling.
He did.
Those Phillies.
But he also managed a guy who, in the sports world, is a lot more famous than even Curt Schilling.
Who?
We know him from a different sport. You know who I'm talking about. Francona in Double-A was the skipper for Michael Jordan.
Jordan in Double-A ball. He was at the Birmingham Barons. So a walk for Enrique Wilson. I mean, these walks, there were 2 of them plus an error that set the stage for Matsui's grand slam in the 7th inning. So now a 1-out walk to the 9th place hitter, Enrique Wilson. And here comes Kenny Lofton trying to cause some more trouble. Lofton, who's hit a double, which really was a single that he hustled into a double. He then hit a single his next time up, grounded out in the 5th, and then was safe in the Bellhorn error. That was the beginning of the 4-run 7th inning rally.
He's a guy that played a little basketball in his college career at the University of Arizona. Also the same place that Terry Francona played baseball at.
A strike to Lofton. Third baseman Bill Miller is very shallow for Lofton. So Suddenly, the chance of Lofton slapping one right by him into left field figures to increase. And a hanging slider. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's a good lesson for young leadoff hitters, guys with speed, John. I mean, just the fact that Lofton might bunt is what brings Bill Miller in so close. You don't even have to bunt now. Just by bringing him in like that, you create a lot of more opportunities for a hard-hit ground ball to get through. I mean, look at him. He's right there in that vicinity there. If he was back on the dirt and you hit a hard ground ball, he's got an opportunity to take a step, maybe 2, and then dive. Where he's at right now, I mean, if it's not at him, it's by.
I mean, listen to how quiet Fenway Park is. Nobody's left. 35,006 to pay crowd. They're all still here. But they're a little nervous right now. If Lofton gets aboard, Derek Jeter would come up as the possible tying run of the game. A game which just 1 inning ago, the Red Sox led by 7 runs. Senator Carey is still here. Ball, 2 strikes to Lofton. Ooh, that was a sharp breaking ball, a little bit inside apparently. 2-2.
Crowd wanting that because they too know what you were talking about. And a whole lot of arguing going on tonight with home plate umpire Hunter Wendelstedt. Always a good sign for them.
That slider is ripped down the right field line. That ball is in there, base hit. Kepler over to cut it off. Lofton racing for second, and he's in there. His 3rd hit of the game. Wilson over to third base. And now, Derek Jeter is the possible tying run of this game. And Folk up in the bullpen, and here comes Francona. And he has already made the call. So Folk is going to have to get 5 outs to save this one. 9-6 Boston.
Hear it again. Let's do it.
There is Keith Folk. Last year he was the closer for the Oakland Athletics, and outside of maybe Mariano Rivera, nobody really had a better year as a closer in the American League than did Keith Folk.
And his manager now, Terry Francona, had a good look at that because Francona was a coach on that Oakland A's staff that Folk pitched for.
Derek Jeter, the hitter. Lofton there, number 12, is at second. Wilson at third. Jeter could tie this game with a home run. Back at Folk. It ricochets back to Mirabelli. The throw to first. And it hits Jeter. It rolls down the line. Wilson in to score. Lofton over to third. And no, they're going to call Jeter out. Jeter is called out by the plate umpire Wendelstedt for being inside the line. That makes it a dead ball. Jeter is out, and both runners will have to go back. And now Joe Torre is going to come out to discuss that call with Hunter Wendelstedt. Meanwhile, the Red Sox are going to go out and see if Keith Folk is all right. You get the 3-foot box halfway up the first base line and the rest of the way to the first, and the runner's got to be inside that box.
Right, I was going to say, what do you want me to talk about first? The argument. Take a look at Jeter. I thought he was out of the box in the first inning when he laid down that sacrifice bunt. He can see what's going on here. He knows that it's going to be a difficult play. He's clearly inside the line there. Even though the throw could have been a little bit better from Mirabelli, it wasn't. Derek Jeter didn't argue a whole lot. Joe Torre, as always, is going to come out and protect his players. Now, Terry Francona has to be concerned with his closer. I mean, you lose him now, right when you catch a huge break.
I mean, you've already played your final card, right? And if you lose him, I mean, he's your final card. I mean, they have other guys they could go to, but nobody else that they want to go to.
We got to figure out, and Embry's not available, or you would have thought he would have brought him in back when Matsui was up with the bases loaded. Left-handed hitter. They're not going to pinch hit for Matsui. He didn't come in, so I agree with you. It's all in the hands of Keith Folk.
Embry pitched yesterday, the 7th inning of the game. Here's the play. The ball hitting Keith Folk.
caught mostly his right shin. Then it came up off his hand, but look how far it went back in the direction of the catcher, Doug Mirabelli.
So now 2 down. Here is the dangerous Sheffield. 1 ball to no strike. Sheffield, the Yankees RBI leader. He picked up number 71 tonight. He has 20 home runs. One of the most dangerous hitters in the game, and he's had 4 hits in 6 at-bats. Lifetime against Folk. Wilson at third, Lofton at second, ready to go in anything with 2 down. That one is into left. It's hanging. And right to Manny Ramirez. Hit hard, but into the glove of Ramirez. And Folk, it wasn't easy. But he keeps them off the board. Still 9-6.
It all keeps changing, things rearranging. The whole world's trying to advance the game. But the Big Mac is perfect, so it stays the same. To all beef patty, special sauce that is deep. Those onions on his neck, he's deep bar. I'm done. The Big Mac, why change perfection? McDonald's.
Join McDonald's as we help ESPN celebrate 25 years as the worldwide leader in sports. McDonald's, proud sponsor of ESPN 25.
You've been waiting all year for this moment to arrive. The one and only clearance at your Lincoln Mercury dealer. Get model year-end savings on every Lincoln and Mercury. From our award-winning SUVs to the legendary Town Car and the spacious Grand Marquis. Get 0% APR or up to $6,000 cash back on select Lincoln and Mercury vehicles, plus your dealer's best model year-end price. See your Lincoln Mercury dealer now for best.
Join everyone who already knows when it comes to customer service, Adelphia brings it home. And with Adelphia's new Easy Access customer phone number, getting customer service is quicker and more convenient than ever before. Just dial toll-free 1-888-683-1000. Check your account balance, make a payment, verify an appointment. You can do all of this and more at your convenience. Enhanced customer service is at your fingertips 24/7. You can only get that with Adelphia.
Hi, I'm Steve Schumann. Thank you for making Charlie's Maine's #1 Nissan dealer.
Charlie's Nissan has Maine's biggest selection of Nissans. Come to Charlie's, Maine's #1 Nissan dealer to find the Nissan you're looking for at the right price for you. Whatever your needs, with Nissan, you can expect the exceptional. You'll find that exceptional Nissan at Maine's #1 Nissan dealer, Charlie's.
Come see why more than 6,000 customers a year buy cars and trucks at Charlie's.
See us first, see us last, but see us and save.
Sunday night baseball from Fenway. The Yankees trailing the Red Sox 9-6. Rubber match of the series. Don't forget that right after the ballgame. Sports Center in its entirety with John Anderson and Kevin Frazier. They got some big stories they'll be following, such as why did Ricky Williams retire? Eric Milton, a near no-hitter. He had one into the 9th inning. And the Randy Johnson trade talks heat up. That's an interesting one. And guess who won the Tour de France?
I don't know. I've got my yellow wristband on, which says "Live Strong."
All right. Is he a friend of yours, Lance Armstrong?
No. Well, I'm a fan.
You're a fan.
Not a friend.
David Ortiz, base hit in the right field. Ortiz gets his second consecutive hit. He had a double off the left field wall his last time to knock in a run. Facing Brett Prinz here. So he's 2 for 4 with a walk. And Manny Ramirez is coming up.
I think the biggest problem all along, John, for the Red Sox has been allowing unearned runs. And once again, an error in the 7th inning led to 4 more unearned runs and made a ball game out of this.
Mike Messina was supposed to throw in the bullpen today, and if all went well, maybe even be ready to join the rotation, or maybe go out on a rehab assignment and then come back to the rotation. But he did not throw in the bullpen today.
You know, and I found that interesting. The reason he didn't is because they don't like the mound here.
But Joe Torre also told me that throwing on flat ground yesterday, that he may have overdone it a little bit, and he woke up this morning and his elbow was a little cranky. And they're saying now they might shut down even the thought of a bullpen thing until late this coming week.
You and I have known Mike Messina since he first got to the big leagues, and this kid has always had a toughness to him. And for him to have been out this long, they have to be concerned about that.
He's hurting. Scott Proctor, young, hard-throwing right-hander up in the Yankees bullpen. He was impressive here yesterday.
Yeah, he threw 36 pitches yesterday, and some of them clocked at 98 miles an hour.
Big unit like. Manny Ramirez, the slugger, against Brett Prinz, and that's just off the outside. Mariano Rivera has worked 3 consecutive days for the Yankees. Paul Quantrill has been working day after day. He gave Flash Gordon a day off yesterday. Of course, those guys he likes to use primarily if they're ahead late in the ball game, but especially with Rivera and maybe even Quantrill, he'd like to not use them under any circumstances today. Although sometimes Mariano Rivera will come in and tell him, I'm fine. If you need me, use me. And there's Mariano, the great closer. And I mean, he's having his best year so far this year, although he blew the save yesterday, only the 2nd out of 37 that he has blown this year.
I imagine Joe Torre lost any sleep over that. Just proves that he is kind of human from time to time. But last year, Joe Torre didn't really have a bridge down there in the bullpen between his starting pitcher and his closer. He's got a couple of them now, and like you said, he'd like to keep them fresh because he's planning on playing into the month of October.
Quantrill and Gordon, 2 outstanding relievers. And he fouls one out. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nomar Garciaparra is on deck. 9-6, the Red Sox are leading here. The Yankees in the 9th inning will have A-Rod, Posada, and Matsui do up. And these Red Sox fans would not mind if they added a couple of runs to their lead before they got to the 9th inning. Manny Ramirez hitting .327 with 80 runs batted in for the year. Prinz gets him looking. Outside corner at the knees. Manny has a few words with Hunter Wendelstedt on that one. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. And Major League Baseball congratulates Dennis Eckersley and Paul Molitor on their induction into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, as today baseball celebrates Hall of Fame Day at all the ballparks.
Boy, excellence for a long, long time for both of those guys. Eckersley, 23 years. Molitor played at the Major League level for 21. Eckersley, of course, a former Red Sox.
He was a 20-game winner for the Red Sox in 1978.
I think he's really going to change the voting as far as relievers are concerned. Eckersley, just the 3rd pitcher who pitched the majority of his games in relief to go into the Hall of Fame.
Nomar with a soaring pop-up. Jeter. Number 2. 2 down. Ortiz still at first, and Kevin Millar is coming up. Dennis Eckersley had 390 saves and nearly 200 wins. Most of those wins as a starting pitcher. And Paul Molitor, well over 3,000 hits and 504 steals. And no less an authority than Ted Williams said that of all the players he'd seen since, Molitor's swing was the closest he'd seen to Joe DiMaggio's swing. Wow. There's Millar, and we'll be right back.
Leon, as a novice professional baseball player, who are some other players you admire?
Well, Chuck, I think I would have to say myself. I really like me.
Seriously, there must be other players in the league you like.
No, Chuck.
What about any historic players?
Historic players? Look here, man, I ain't really concerned what was happening during the dinosaur age. Leon lives in it right now.
And right now?
Leon loves Leon. It's all good, baby.
People everywhere are experiencing a breakthrough. I'm full! Fullness from a value menu.
Guess who got full this weekend?
You dog! Introducing the Big Bell Value Menu from Taco Bell. A new menu with filling items like half-pound burritos and double tacos. Designed to keep your stomach and your wallet full.
I'm full beyond my wildest dreams. And you can't be too!
Get full on value. Think outside the bun.
Here you go, the Reebok Classic Clip Groove.
Oh, yeah. Just to get these on, it's so sexy.
Well, what's up, shawty? You know I'ma have to stop. You're looking too proper. When you stepping out of the Foot Locker, and they got on so much ice I can make her my blind date. She built with a fine face, so sexy and size 8. Well, it'll be the one twister, come and check out how we ride. And I only be ballin' with folks that's rocking them Reeboks. And every time I step out of a nasty whip, I'm only sporting Reebok Classic.
The Reebok Classic Clip Groove, available only at Foot Locker.
Sunday night baseball from Boston. Red Sox 9, Yankees 6 in the rubber match in their 3-game series. The MetLife blimp Snoopy 2 is cruising the skies of Boston to provide aerial coverage of tonight's ball game. The blimp typically cruises at a speed of 35 miles per hour at an altitude of 1,200 feet. Look to the skies for the MetLife blimp in a town near you, and we're always thrilled to have them with us. Here's Kevin Millar. Let's see if the young right-hander Scott Proctor, acquired from the Dodgers organization, the trading deadline last year, and part of the deal that sent Robin Ventura to L.A. And as you said, Rick, yesterday, he showed that he can bring it.
Well, he's showing that he can bring it on back-to-back days as well. 94 miles an hour there on the outer half of the plate. Mostly a starting pitcher throughout his minor league career. Just turned into a full-time reliever last year.
Millar, who already has 2 singles and a homer tonight, and that was just out of play. This is going to be the only ballpark where that ball's out of play. I mean, right behind third base, the stands angle over toward the foul line. In addition to being spectacular, intimate views of the action, those seats right there also afford safe haven for a pop foul, giving a hitter an extra life.
302 and 254. Home average, road average. Foul territory. You got it, pal.
And the wall. Millar pops one foul. Millar, 3 for 3 in this game. And in this series, 10 for 12. Today he's had 4 RBIs, 8 RBIs in the 3 games. In the 5th inning, he launched one against Contreres off the Coke bottle.
Yeah, right when it seemed like Contreres was going to settle down a little bit, Millar says,
Ortiz breaks for second, and he'll make it. And the wild pitch by Proctor. So now Kevin Millar can knock in that little bit of insurance with a base hit. He had a 2-run single in the 1st, hit by a pitch in the 2nd, homered in the 5th, and had an RBI single in the 6th. That last RBI single, by the way, that was run number 9 for the Red Sox.
He could do it with a base hit, but I wouldn't hit it at any of the Yankee outfielders. You better get it kind of off to the side, because that's not Ricky Henderson out there at second base running.
Maybe a high fly ball to left that scrapes off the wall.
You got it. That'll get him in. Because there's 2 outs, and he's going to take off right away.
3-2 the count. Jeter. And that's the inning. 1 hit, 1 left. 9-6 Boston. On to the 9th. A-Rod, then Posada and Matsui. Bernie would be up 4th. Last chance for the Yanks. Rodriguez heading for the plate here at Fenway. 9-6 Red Sox, top of the 9th. Here's a look at who's gaining power, brought to you by Gillette M3 Power. The Yankees, 9 players with 10 home runs or more this season. The most that any team has ever had in a full season is 10 players reaching double figures. The Yankees have hit 148 home runs. Matsui tonight hit his 19th, a grand slam in the 7th. He's due up 3rd here in the 9th. A-Rod will just foul right past the bag at 3rd.
Matsui and A-Rod, 2 of the 8 All-Stars selected off Joe Torre's New York Yankee team. 8 All-Stars was the most since back in the 1950s when the Yankees had 9. Back then, of course, it was Yogis and Mickeys and Whiteys.
Of course, in those days, you only had 8 teams in the league. Popped up. The new first baseman, David McCarty, has room. And McCarty takes it. caddy.
I got you.
One down, and here's Posada. Alex Rodriguez looks a little frustrated. Yanks need a couple of base runners. And as we've just seen, they are perhaps more equipped than any other team in baseball to take a couple of base runners and then have somebody launch one to tie the ball game.
That's one of the things I respect a lot about the closer for Boston, Keith Falk, is that he is equipped to go out there and pitch more than one inning, which not all closers are able to do.
Here's Posada. A fly ball. There's Damon, out number 2. 2 down. He's retired 4 in a row since he entered the game.
Well, it's been a night of comebacks for Boston. Falk, after getting a loss in Game 1 on Friday, coming back and pitching well thus far, you know, they forgot about the fight and they focused on having success. And the win that they had yesterday, coming back and beating Mariano Rivera, huge pickup tonight, and getting Derek Lowe seemingly back on track. Boston's going to need him. They're not going to get to the postseason with just Kurt Schilling and Pedro Martinez.
Matsui to Damon. And the ball game is over. The Red Sox take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. Coming from behind yesterday, from way behind to win it, beating Mariano Rivera and then jumping ahead big time early. And then withstanding the Yankees comeback. Folk, who's been slumping lately, with a 5-batter save. And that does it. Still 7.5 back of the Yankees, but feeling a little better about themselves, perhaps. Lowe, the winner over Contreres. Final score, 9-6, the Red Sox over the Yanks. Now for Rick Sutcliffe, Sam Ryan, and our entire ESPN crew, this is John Miller. Now, SportsCenter next. Good night from Boston.